What's up, everybody? This is Steampunk J wishing you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And today, I'm going to be doing something very special, something I've wanted to do for a long time. I'm going to turn one of my sketches into a digital painting. And heads up, people, this is the first time ever that I'm going to be attempting this style of artwork. I've always wanted to do this because ever since I've been drawing and sketching, I've been looking up videos of other artists that transform their sketches into beautiful digital paintings, whether they've been using Corel, Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, or any other creative software programs, and their works always come out beautiful. And I envy them because they are so far ahead in creative ability than I have. So I told myself that this is gonna be a good way for me to end this year, where I can just take one of my sketches and I can do the best I can to create an amazing digital painting with the sketch that I created as my basis. So I thought that since this is the time where Christmas is still fresh in our thoughts. I mean, I understand that Christmas has passed, which is why I'm just like, hey, why not get this done and out of the way before this year comes to an end? So I decided to take a simple sketch of Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus and turn that sketch into a digital painting. So I hope you guys are ready for this, because I know that I wasn't, because like I said before, this is my first attempt at turning a sketch into a digital work, and this is actually my very first attempt of using this program to help add some color and add some vibrance and add some life into my works. So I'm very excited for this, guys. Let's get started. So once again, guys, I hope you guys had a very good Christmas. I hope you guys got everything you wanted: gifts, food, just spending time with your family around this time of year is like one of the best things about this holidays. I mean, I've spent my Christmas with my family, and since I'm a big boy, my mama has given me clothes, and my brothers have gotten video games. So you can tell that it was a very funny Christmas. And I can honestly say, you guys, I've been trying to come up with a very good idea to transform one of my works into a digital style format. As a matter of fact, I wanted to do this style of artwork for as long as I can remember. And just seeing all these other artists master their crafts on YouTube or DeviantArt or any other forums where they sell their artworks, Facebook and all that, sometimes it just feels like, a little bit disheartening, because here I am. I feel like I'm the only artist in the world that doesn't know how to do any digital form of artworks, and everyone else has already gone and surpassed me on this. But I just told myself to just stop thinking like that and just give this a try. Just at least give this a try, because if you're not gonna do it now, when are you gonna do it? And it's a lot of pressure, because this is actually the very first time that I'm actually gonna give this project a shot, and I'm just winging it. I told myself, just do it. Just scan your work, transfer it over to Corel, which is the program that I'm using right now, Corel Painter 2017, and just do the best you can. Just pretend that no one's watching you. You're just working on your project, and you're just doing the best you can, and you are gonna love every single second of it. And of course, there have been times where I've been painting this stuff, and actually what I'm doing right now, I'm just inking my artworks. So what you're looking in the background is what my image looked like when I sketched it out. And just in case you guys are wondering, I'm going to show you once again the image that I've sketched. And what you're seeing right here is just a picture of Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. Very beautiful couple, by the way. I mean, it actually came out a lot better than I thought it would when I first tried to sketch it out. And I'm just using that as a base, and I'm just inking over the drawing. And what you're gonna see in this video, that's pretty much what I'm doing. The hardest part is actually just inking out the picture, because I always told myself that the lines have got to be nice and clean and crisp. And no matter how hard I tried, because I've always practiced and I've always tried to create brushes. I've always looked up videos on how, like, these artists create nice and clean, crisp lines, and it just ate up a lot of time, and it always depressed me a lot more because they've had such clean lines, and no matter how hard I try to follow the tutorials, I just can't seem to get the brushes to come out nice and clean and crisp. And I just said to myself, you know what? Don't let that overwhelm you. You just work with whatever you got. You got these programs that give you all kinds of brushes and pencils and tools. Why not use that? They gave you everything you need. The other artists out there, in my personal opinion, they create brushes and they create their own, strokes and all their own pencil styles, their paintbrush styles, or whatever style of artistic materials that they need on these programs, and it works for them. And I feel like if I'm gonna follow them or just try to mimic what they do, it's just gonna kill a lot of time. And I just told myself, you know what, just wing it. Just use whatever brush that you have in your disposal, and you make the best work that you possibly can with it. And the whole time I'm just thinking about that, and next thing I know, once I told myself, hey, you can do this, you don't have to mimic the other artworks or the other artists' brush styles or anything like that, then your artwork is gonna come out a lot better. And once I stopped and took a break, I looked at my inking and I looked at my drawings, and I realized, wow, did I actually do that? It actually came out a lot better than I thought it would. And that is where the satisfaction comes from, folks. You just work with whatever materials you get, and as long as you're really passionate about this kind of stuff, you're really passionate about the artwork that you're doing, that you just get lost in your pencil strokes, you get lost in your brush strokes, it doesn't matter if it looks good or bad. I at least gave it an attempt, and I knew that it's gonna come out good because I've put 100% dedication and focus into these things. And not to mention listening to some new age music and a little bit of hip hop and country music. Yes, I listen to country music, people. It actually helped me a lot. It actually helped calm my nerves down. It actually inspired me to continue going. And yeah, you just got to find an outlet to everything that you're doing when you're creating these kind of stuffs and these artworks for the first time. And as you can see right now, well, as you probably noticed throughout the rest of the video, you see me rotating a lot. You see there are moments where I just the screen just goes small and then the image just comes back to life, but it's a lot bigger. That's just because with this new digital this new drawing tablet that I got, which I'm going to talk about. I'm actually making a video about that, about the day that I got the tablet. It's amazing. The drawing tablet that I got, the Cintiq 24 HD tablet that I got, it's awesome, but I'm still learning how to use it. And there are days where actually there are times when I'm making this video where sometimes it decided to get evil with me. I want the image to go big and it rotates instead. There are times where I wanted to rotate the picture and the image just disappears because I just shrank it instead of rotating it. And then I have to just come back and just make the image big again. And I made it too big that I magnified the image to 2000 point whatever how you calculate magnifications. And so yeah, you're gonna see throughout the rest of the video that sometimes the tablet just works with me, and sometimes it doesn't. And whenever it doesn't work with me, I just have to work around it, if I have the patience for it. Sometimes I have the patience when it comes to creating arts, and sometimes I don't. And sometimes when I'm working with this piece of technology that I have, sometimes technology can be evil, and sometimes technology can be the best thing that's ever happened to me. And no matter what, whether the drawing tablet is being evil with me, I just work with whatever I got. And as you can see, and like I mentioned in the video before, I try so hard to make the lines, the inking so nice and clean and crisp, and my prayers are never answered. But you just gotta work with what you got. You just gotta work with everything. And that's just what I want to prove to myself. Like, you can give me whatever paintbrush or pencil type, and I can create anything with it. And with this video, what I'm using for my inking is a calligraphy pen. It's the pen that helps you create like fancy signatures. I mean, it has like thin strokes and thick strokes. Sometimes that pen stroke can be random at times, but I just learned to just work with it because I like the way that it makes the lines look thin. I like the way that it makes the lines look thick and thin. There's so much variety going into this picture. As you can see, I kind of paused right there for a second, but oh well. Sometimes as an artist, you do a lot of thinking. You have to plan your next move, and it doesn't matter. It may take forever drawing a picture for some, but for others, sometimes you get so lost in your works and you want to see it finished and go all the way through. It doesn't really matter because you're the one that's painting. You're the one that's going through the artworks, and you're just enjoying every single moment of it. And as you can see, I'm working around the eyes, and the eyes is the one part in the drawing right here that I feel like I have to be very careful with, because the eyes and that beautiful smile of Mrs. Claus there has got to be perfect. And also for Mr. Claus, because he is married to the most beautiful woman that he has ever met. And that's what I like about this drawing, people. It's a wonderful story. If you're wondering where I got this inspiration from, I got this inspiration from a Christmas movie called Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I forgot who directed it. It sounds like a Ross and Boss. I'm gonna have to look that up. But either way, I'm pretty sure that most of you guys back home, if you've seen any of these classic movies like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Frosty the Snowman, them movies that were created in like the 70s or the 60s or the 50s, Santa Claus is Coming to Town is a movie about Santa Claus in his younger years as a young man, and he used to deliver toys to children without any reindeer to help him out. He was just a man that wears a red suit, and he just visited a town a town of children that really need happiness and joy, and Santa Claus was the guy to answer the call. And we see Santa Claus, I saw Santa Claus as a young man, and also what's surprising is that I also got to see Mrs. Claus as a very young woman. And I think it's a very wonderful story when you're watching a movie about Santa Claus. Instead of watching Santa Claus just deliver presents like everyone is used to watching, why not we get a glimpse into his personal life, where he's interacting with the elves. He's probably having a hot cup of coffee with his workers, or spending time with the reindeer. And this thought came to my mind while I was watching the movie. They showed a really beautiful scene where Mr. and Mrs. Claus were getting married, and they showed this beautiful wedding scene where they were out there in the snow with Christmas trees all around them, decorated in ornaments and lights. And I thought, why not create something based on that? That is something that we all should definitely look at Santa Claus at, as a man who is not Santa Claus. Santa Claus cannot be Santa Claus without his Mrs. Claus to love him and support him. And I think that in a time of year when we really think about Christmas as bringing gifts to other people and Christmas food and everything like that, I look at Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus being together, and it is the Clauses, both Mr. and Mrs. Claus, that bring joy and happiness to everybody. And when Santa Claus comes home, he has his beautiful wife waiting for him to help him out, to give him the love and support that he needs to make it through another year of delivering gifts and bringing joy to everybody. And I think that a lot of people overlook Mrs. Claus because the main attention is always around Santa Claus. But I wanted to give this couple a story of their own. And just watching the movie Santa Claus is Coming to Town has been a really big inspiration in sketching out this little moment in time where you see Mr. and Mrs. Claus just dancing in the snow together on Christmas Eve. Yes, I'm a very, very romantic guy when it comes to these kind of things. But that's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that's very emotional, very romantic, something very beautiful. Something that when people look at this artwork, they'll realize that Christmas is a time where you look to your loved one and you tell them how much you love them. And I can honestly tell you that, that if Santa Claus were real, he would go home after his trip around the world delivering gifts. He knows that when he gets home, there's a very special person waiting for him. There's a shelter that awaits for him when he gets home to the North Pole. And that's a story that always pops into my head when I'm creating this. And whenever I'm doing these artworks, and especially inking it out in this case, there's always a beautiful story that I know will come out in the end. And it doesn't matter if my inks is a little bit off, or it doesn't matter if I tell myself that the inking is not all that smooth. Once I take a moment to just back away from the picture, just for a split second, or as I'm seeing right here, just get rid of the background and just see how it looks like without the background, without the bases kind of distracting a little bit, and I see the ink. The inking comes out beautiful, and the image itself comes out even better than I expected it to be. And more importantly, there's a beautiful story that goes along with it. And there you have it, guys. You got the inking of Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And the reason why I have this little blue outline in the background is because there's an option that I have when creating these artworks. Sometimes when I draw something or create something, or especially this happens to a lot of artists, where they ink the stuff out and they see more than one possibilities that come along with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because I definitely enjoyed inking out this drawing that I made of Mr. and Mrs. Claus together. And I hope that you guys enjoyed me talking about my artworks, because that's pretty much what I like to do. I like to talk to people about where I get my inspiration from, how I create this art process. And this is something that I'm definitely looking forward to when I create another video of me actually coloring this drawing. And I just simply cannot wait for that. So I hope you guys enjoy my art process of me turning my sketch into a digital ink. And I'll see you guys next video when I actually add color to Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And trust me, guys, the end result is going to be worth it. Thank you, and I will see you next video.